You were never meant to feel this disconnected. Somewhere deep inside, you already know this. But most people can't explain where that feeling comes from. The silent ache of knowing there's more, of feeling stuck inside a version of life that doesn't match what the soul remembers. And this is where the great forgetting begins. We are conditioned from the moment we arrive to believe only in what we can see, to trust only the five senses, to shrink our limitless nature into something that fits the mold of survival, productivity, and logic. But the truth is far greater and more confronting. You are not here to live inside a physical container. You are here to remember that the physical world is only the final layer of reality. The real work, the true creation, begins in the invisible, in the field, in the quantum. Most of us were taught to focus only on what's external, to look for results, to chase signs, to measure progress in what can be counted or achieved. But this approach cuts us off from the very engine of manifestation, the inner frequency. The truth is that the life you're currently living is not just a result of choices or circumstances. It is a holographic printout of your internal state of being. Your thoughts, emotions, expectations, and unconscious programs are all emitting signals, and those signals are organizing the matter around you. Not metaphorically, literally. Quantum physics has shown us that what we call matter is just energy, condensed into a form by the observer, by attention, by coherent vibration. Which means reality isn't something that happens to you. It's something that responds to you. But how do you break the spell of forgetfulness? How do you wake up from the illusion that you are only a body, only a name, only a person trying? To get there, you start by remembering where the true you lives. Not in the mind, not in the brain, but in the field. The quantum field is not a poetic metaphor. It is a measurable, dynamic matrix of potential that surrounds and permeates everything. And your consciousness is part of it, not separate from it, not waiting to be approved by it. You are already woven into it. You are it. Every thought you have sends a ripple through this field. Every emotion either collapses or delays the reality you're trying to call in. And every time you forget this, you surrender your creative power to the illusion of matter. Many people say, I've tried to manifest, but it didn't work. And the reason is almost always this. They tried to change the outside without changing the frequency of their identity. But you cannot manifest abundance while vibrating in lack. You cannot call in love while unconsciously radiating fear. You cannot become more until you align with the version of yourself that already is. The secret is not effort. It's alignment. And this video is your invitation to realign. To remember that you don't manifest with desire, you manifest with coherence. You don't attract with words, you attract with being. And the shift from seeking to embodying is the bridge between dreaming and receiving. Right now, you may feel like there's a gap between the life you have and the one you desire. But that gap is not a punishment. It's a portal, a vibrational tension designed to awaken the part of you that's been dormant. Because you are not just meant to observe this field, you're meant to program it, to imprint your frequency onto it with intention, clarity, and presence. And that begins with going beyond the body, beyond survival, beyond trying to make it happen. You are being asked to remember your original power, to collapse possibilities into form, not by chasing, but by choosing. This journey is not about believing harder, it's about tuning deeper. Every manifestation begins with a shift in identity. So ask yourself now, who would I be if I already lived my dream life? How would I think, breathe, walk, speak? This is where it begins. Not when things change, but when you change who you're being. And the rest, the field, the signs, the synchronicities will follow you because they've been waiting for you to remember. What if everything you've ever believed about where your mind lives is incomplete or entirely wrong? You were taught that the mind is something inside your head, locked inside the folds of the brain, like a machine confined to a box. But the truth is far more expansive and liberating. Your mind is not local. It is not contained. And it is not limited by the boundaries of your skull. You are not thinking inside your brain. Your brain is tuning into thoughts that exist far beyond it. This is not just spiritual poetry, it's science. Bob Proctor said it best. You're not the body. You're not even the brain. You're the energy that's flowing to and through it. And energy cannot be contained by bone or skin. Quantum. Physicists and spiritual visionaries alike, from Amit Goswami to Joe Dispenza, have spent decades proving this simple truth. The mind is a field, not a structure. A frequency, not a function. Your consciousness is not a product of the brain. It is what gives rise to the brain. You don't think because you have a brain. You have a brain because you are conscious. And that consciousness is not inside the body. It surrounds it, envelopes it, animates it. It interacts with the quantum field at all times, sending information, broadcasting frequency, interpreting feedback from the invisible dimensions of reality. Think of it like this. Your brain is a radio. Your thoughts are not created by it. They are tuned in by it. Depending on the channel you're vibrating on, the emotional frequency you're in, you receive different information, ideas, insights, and intuitions. You cannot hear the station of abundance if you're tuned into the frequency of fear. You cannot access the guidance of your higher self if your internal signal is overwhelmed with static from anxiety and doubt. And that's why this moment of remembering is so powerful. Because once you stop identifying your mind as something local, something limited, you begin to reclaim your ability to shape reality from the level of energy. Joe Dispenza teaches that your personality creates your personal reality. But what he really means is that your vibrational signature is projecting a pattern into the field, and that pattern is being reflected back as your life. In other words, you're not perceiving reality, you're generating it. Every thought, every emotion, every expectation sends a wave into the field, and the field, in accordance with the observer effect, responds by collapsing a specific possibility into form. You are not watching reality unfold. You are participating in its construction. When you believe your mind is trapped inside the body, you also believe you're trapped inside your circumstances. But when you realize your mind is infinite, when you remember that it is the energetic interface between you and all that is, then the game changes. You stop reacting to the world. You start programming it. You stop waiting for proof. You start becoming the cause, because the mind, when unconfined, becomes a tool of pure intention, and that intention, when coherent, bends the quantum field. This is not just theory. It is being demonstrated in labs and in lives. Studies in quantum biology, consciousness, and the HeartMath Institute all suggest the same thing, that thought plus feeling plus attention creates measurable shifts in electromagnetic output, and that output, your field, interacts with the unified field of everything. The gap between science and spirituality is no longer a gap. It's a bridge, and you're walking it right now. So ask yourself, if your mind is not inside your body, where else could it be reaching? What realities might it already be influencing? What version of yourself is it already connected to, just waiting for you to match the frequency? This is the beginning of real manifestation. Not affirmations, without feeling. Not intentions without embodiment, but pure vibrational alignment. This is where you stop playing by the laws of the material world and start collaborating with the laws of energy. You are not thinking inside a box. You are radiating through a field. The next version of your life is not somewhere far away. It's already formed as a probability, waiting for you to become the kind of mind that can receive it. And you don't do that by working harder. You do that by becoming freer. If the universe were speaking to you, it wouldn't be using words. It wouldn't send a sign in your native language or whisper instructions in your ear. The universe, in its purest form, speaks only one language: frequency. And it's been responding to yours since the moment you were born. You just weren't taught how to listen. Most people go through life trying to change the outer world by using force, effort, or willpower, never realizing that what they're actually doing is shouting into the void while ignoring the one signal the field can actually hear: their vibration. Everything is frequency. Everything. Light, sound, thought, emotion, matter. All of it is energy moving at different speeds. And this energy doesn't just exist randomly. It's organized. It's communicative. It's intelligent. The electromagnetic field of your heart, measurable up to several feet from your body, carries information about your current emotional state. Your brainwaves, shifting between beta, alpha, theta, and delta, reflect the quality of your attention and perception, and your overall energy field, what ancient mystics called the aura and modern scientists now refer to as the biofield, constantly emits data to the larger quantum field around you. That field, in turn, mirrors that data back, not as metaphors but as circumstances. This is why your life doesn't change when you desperately want it to. It changes when your vibration shifts, and the quality of that vibration is determined, not by what you say you want, but by who you're being, consistently, energetically, emotionally. Greg Braden calls it the language of feeling. He says the field responds to coherent emotion, not intellectual affirmation. You can say I am abundant all day long, but if you're vibrating in lack, worry, and unworthiness, the field picks that up as your true request. It doesn't respond to your hopes. It responds to your signal. This isn't spiritual theory. It's backed by quantum physics. The double-slit experiment showed us that particles behave differently depending on whether they are observed. But what most people miss is the deeper implication, that your awareness, your attention, your intention, plays a direct role in determining how reality behaves. The observer isn't just seeing, the observer is selecting. Every moment, you're collapsing waves of possibility into specific outcomes through the energetic tone you're carrying. And what determines that tone? Your frequency. So what exactly is frequency in this context? It's the vibrational match between your inner state and the external possibilities available in the quantum field. High-frequency emotions like gratitude, love, joy, and trust create coherence in your heart and brain. They make your energy clean, focused, magnetic. Low-frequency states like shame, fear, doubt, and frustration create chaos. They scatter your energy, weaken your signal, and send mixed messages to the field. In short, the clearer and more coherent your vibration, the faster and more powerfully reality responds. Joe Dispenza teaches that when your thoughts and feelings are aligned, when your intention and your emotion vibrate in harmony, you become electromagnetic. Your body becomes a tuning device and the universe becomes the amplifier. He calls it coherence, and it's measurable. Heart rate variability studies show that people in elevated emotional states can enter deep states of coherence that literally change their physiology, boost their immune systems, and, more importantly, shift their perception of time, opportunity, and potential. This is where things get quantum. Because when you realize that your frequency is shaping not just how you feel but what you experience, then everything becomes a reflection, not of your effort, but of your energy. You no longer ask, what do I need to do? You start asking, who do I need to be? You no longer try to attract. You tune in. You don't chase outcomes. You become magnetic to them. Because the frequency you embody is the reality you collapse. So how do you know what frequency you're currently broadcasting? Look around. Your current life is the echo of your recent vibration, not your desires, not your plans, but your being. And if you don't like what you see, that's not punishment and it's feedback. It means it's time to recalibrate, to choose a new emotional baseline, to stop trying to get somewhere and start vibrating from somewhere. This is why all quantum manifestation begins with inner work. Not because it's a moral lesson, but because it's physics. The field does not respond to effort. It responds to resonance. And resonance comes from coherence, from clarity, from alignment. The more you tune your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors to the state of already having what you desire, the more the universe confirms it with evidence. Not because you forced it, but because you matched it. And maybe the most beautiful part of all this is that your frequency is entirely within your power. It's not controlled by circumstance, and it's reflected by it. So the next time you want to change something out there, remember, the signal starts in here. There comes a moment on the path of awakening when the old tools no longer work. When visualizing feels mechanical, affirmations feel hollow, and chasing outcomes feels like running in circles. It's the moment when your soul starts whispering a deeper truth. You're not here to just improve your current reality. You're here to shift into an entirely new one. This is what we call the dimensional leap. It's not about jumping from one place to another, but from one level of being to another. And it begins not with action, but with identity. To understand the dimensional leap, you must first understand that you are already multidimensional. You're not just a body moving through space and time. You are a field of consciousness projecting a reality based on frequency. What most people call reality is just the densest level of perception. The third dimension. In the third dimension, everything is linear. Time flows forward, cause precedes effect, and we believe that we are separate from everything around us. It's the dimension of effort, struggle, and reaction. But beyond this density lies a higher framework. The fourth and fifth dimensions, realms of awareness where time bends, energy responds faster, and reality reflects consciousness, not circumstance. In the fourth dimension, time is more fluid. You begin to see that your thoughts and emotions are not just internal. They're shaping the timeline you're living. And in the fifth dimension, identity becomes fluid. Here, manifestation is no longer about getting, it's about aligning. It's about becoming the version of you who already lives the life you desire and letting the field reorganize around that. Vibration. The future is no longer something you chase. It's something you choose by frequency. This is where the teachings of Bob Proctor and Neville Goddard become powerful allies. Bob said, "You attract to you the vibration you're in." Neville taught that assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Both are saying the same thing. Dimensional reality is not about hoping. It's about embodying. You don't get the life you want by waiting for it to happen. You step into the dimension where it already exists by tuning into its frequency now. So what does this look like in real life? It means that instead of asking, "How do I get from here to there?" you ask, "Who do I need to be to collapse that version of reality?" It means walking through your current circumstances as if they were echoes of an old version of you, and bringing the vibration of your future self into the present moment. It's not delusion, it's resonance. When you act, think, and feel from the frequency of already having, the universe can't help but respond. Not because you're manipulating it, but because you've shifted dimensions. Let's be clear. This leap is not about pretending. It's not about faking it. It's about fully anchoring into a state of being that is so aligned with your soul's truth that the world bends to reflect it. When you embody your highest timeline, your biology shifts, your posture changes, your decisions align, your boundaries refine, your energy expands, and the field, being purely responsive, rearranges to match. This is also where we start to transcend linear time. The future is not ahead of you, it's inside you. When you tap into the fifth dimensional self, the one that already lives your dream life, you don't have to wait for months or years to receive. You begin to receive signs, synchronicities, and shifts now, because you're no longer transmitting the signal of longing. You're transmitting the signal of wholeness. And here's the paradox. The more you try to force this leap, the less it happens. The dimensional leap is a surrender, not a strategy. It's allowing the old version of you, the one trapped in worry, doubt, and waiting, to dissolve and allowing the frequency of your true self to take the lead. That's why quantum manifestation is not about effort. It's about resonance. And resonance only happens when you stop trying to get there and start vibrating from there. In this state, time collapses, reality bends. Things that felt far suddenly feel close. People, opportunities, and insights arrive in perfect sequence. You begin to live in what some call the flow, a current of energy that feels guided, effortless, and sacred. But the truth is, you didn't stumble into that flow. You tuned into it. You leaped into a new timeline not by changing the world, but by changing the frequency of the self who's perceiving it. This is the dimensional leap. It's not something outside of you. It's not a flash of cosmic luck. It's a shift in awareness, a choice to operate from your highest field even when your senses haven't caught up yet. And the more you anchor into that state, the more your outer world adjusts to reflect the inner one. So if you felt like you're stuck between two realities, the one you're living and the one you dream of, know this. The bridge is not built with time, it's built with vibration. You are not waiting for the leap, you are the leap. There's a moment in every inner journey where words start to fall short, where logic bends and the truth must be felt rather than understood. This is the space where the light body begins to awaken. And while many associate the light body with esoteric or mystical traditions, what we're truly talking about is your most coherent, radiant, and aligned energetic blueprint, the part of you that's always connected to Source, always vibrating at your highest potential. It's not separate from you. It is you, the real you, the one behind the patterns, beyond the trauma, beneath the conditioning. And activating this version of you is not a performance. It's a remembrance. The concept of the light body exists across traditions. In ancient Egypt, it was the Ka. In Eastern philosophy, it's referenced through the concept of prana, or chai. In modern science-informed spirituality, it's the coherent field generated when the heart and brain enter a state of resonance. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls this coherence. Greg Braden speaks of it as the divine matrix responding to elevated emotion. What they all agree on is this. Your body is not just biological. It is electromagnetic. It is vibrational. And when you tune into higher emotional frequencies, like gratitude, compassion, joy, and trust, your electromagnetic field expands, becoming more powerful, ordered, and radiant. This is the light body coming online. So how do we activate it? Not through striving or seeking, but through subtle shifts in being. The first step is coherence between the mind and heart. This isn't metaphor, it's physics. Studies from the HeartMath Institute show that when you breathe slowly, place awareness on your heart, and intentionally generate elevated feelings, your heart rate variability, HRV, enters coherence. This signals the brain to harmonize. Suddenly, the chaos quiets, the noise dims, the inner field becomes still, and in that stillness, energy begins to move. Next comes intentional embodiment. Visualization is not about fantasy, it's about instruction. When you visualize not what you wish for but who you are becoming, and do so with feeling, you begin to entrain your field to that frequency. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between imagined and real, it only responds to vibration. So each time you breathe deeply, center into your heart, and see your higher self acting, speaking, walking, living, you are literally sculpting your field into alignment. You're feeding the light body with codes of remembrance. Another potent practice is vibrational anchoring. This involves choosing small symbolic actions throughout your day that anchor the frequency you wish to live in. For example, if your higher self is peaceful, then how would they start their morning? What would they not do? What space would they protect? What foods would nourish them? When these tiny choices become sacred rituals, your nervous system begins to operate from a new baseline. Resistance fades, your energy becomes congruent. The light body doesn't need you to be perfect, only consistent in your alignment. And here's something many miss. Activating your light body is not about escaping the body, it's about inhabiting it fully as a vessel of frequency. It's about treating your body as an instrument, not a burden, tuning it through rest, hydration, sunlight, breath, movement. Your cells listen, your breath imprints. The way you hold yourself communicates with the field. The more lovingly and consciously you occupy this physical form, the more easily your energetic form shines through. Now, let's talk about a concept often left unspoken: vibrational congruence. The light body cannot sustain itself in environments of chronic misalignment. If your external world and your relationships, habits, digital inputs constantly reflect fear, chaos, or depletion, it becomes harder to stay in your authentic frequency. That's why part of activating your light body involves making space. Space for silence, for intuition, for frequency to settle and rise. It's in these pockets of stillness that your true signal becomes clear. And remember, you're not waiting for a sign to begin. You are the sign. Every time you choose stillness over reaction, presence over distraction, faith over fear, you're not just improving your day, you're opening a quantum portal. The field takes note. It's not watching your performance, it's feeling your frequency. As you do this work, you may not see fireworks. You may not feel instant bliss. What you'll notice instead are shifts in perception, moments of deep knowing, subtle peace, a new lens through which you view your world. And slowly, the outer world will begin to match this new internal vibration. Not because you forced it, but because you remembered, your state of being is the real point of attraction. So ask yourself now, what would your light body version do in this moment? How would they breathe, move, respond? Begin there. Begin again. The quantum field does not require drama, it requires coherence. And that coherence is born every time you stop seeking the light and start being it. There comes a moment on the path when the seeker looks up and realizes what they've been searching for has always been inside. Not as an abstract idea or motivational phrase, but as a visceral, lived truth. You are already what you desire to become. The quantum field doesn't wait for you to achieve a milestone before responding. It mirrors what you are, right now, in your state of being, in your presence, in your essence. This is not philosophy. This is physics. And it's also the most liberating truth you'll ever remember. When Bob Proctor said, "You're not a physical being having a spiritual experience, you're a spiritual being having a physical experience," he wasn't just offering inspiration. He was decoding the nature of reality. The field isn't out there distant waiting for you to finally become worthy. It's inside you, around you, pulsing through your every breath. And it's responding not to your wish but to your vibration. Your reality as it stands is not a punishment or a reward. It is feedback. Feedback from the infinite intelligence that organizes galaxies and listens to your every subtle frequency. So what happens when you stop chasing and start embodying? What shifts when you stop asking, "And how do I get there?" and start declaring, "I am already that"? You collapse the distance, you dissolve the illusion of separation, you bring the desired future into your now. Because time, as the quantum perspective teaches us, is not linear. Every version of you that could exist already does, encoded in the field like music waiting to be played. The moment you tune your frequency, you tune your life. And that life begins responding, instantly, or not always in form, but always in feeling. That's the first confirmation. The inner quiet, the peace without explanation, the joy that arrives without cause. This is coherence. This is alignment. We close this journey by reminding you, the most powerful shift you can make is not external. It's the internal agreement to no longer postpone your embodiment. No longer waiting to be validated, healed, chosen, perfect. Your future self doesn't want a version of you that begs or performs. It wants the you that remembers that every frequency is available now. That identity is a choice. That expansion is permission, not performance. So today, start living as if it's already yours, and because it is. Speak from the vibration of clarity. Walk from the posture of certainty. Act from the knowing that you are not becoming anything. You are revealing what already is. This isn't manifestation from force. It's manifestation from identity. When you remember who you are, you stop negotiating with the field. You begin creating with it. And this is the secret most never tell. The field doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are willing to hold. And you can only hold the next reality when you become the one who would naturally live it. That version of you is not far away. It's right here, behind your next choice, your next breath, your next moment of presence. So as we close, breathe in deeply, not from the version of you that doubts or chases, but from the version that knows. The one who remembers that you already are the frequency of abundance, the vibration of love, the energy of wholeness. It's all here, and you're ready. If this transmission awakened something in you, comment below. I am going beyond. Let this be your activation point, the signal to the field that you're no longer asking, you're becoming. And if this message vibrated with your soul, subscribe. This is a frequency, not a feed, and you're now part of it.